Bands of Metal. I am your host, the mandated reporter, and frankly, I'm mortified, Mr. Mark Radulich, and this is the Metal Hammer of Doom coming at you for the first episode of 2015. And joining me, as always, is the man that started it all on 411 with his very own column, The Hammer of Doom. When he's not smuggling Mexicans across the border, he's on that Common Core. Haven't heard from him since, I think October. Here he is, folks. The Metal Coop, Mr. Robert Cooper. How do you do, sir?
Oh, I actually do pretty well. I kind of miss podcasting because, all winter break, I'd be like, yeah, I'll just a Sentai writer. Nope. All I did was, sleep a whole ton, work, and, try to catch up on things that I didn't catch up on. Oh, and play video games. So I'm good. It's been far too long.
You'll be happy to know that I actually plugged the Sentai Writer podcast on an upcoming episode of the Casual Heroes WrestleCast.
Well, hey.
Maybe
I'm honored.
Maybe that'll inspire you to do one.
Yeah. Actually, the thing that's been holding me back is I'm really behind on all the shows because I have this weird thing. It's the reason I've been getting behind is because I'll do something until 1, 2 o'clock. Somewhere between 12 and 2 in the morning. They're all right, let me get started, and then I'll get sleepy. Yeah, always happens. So yeah, I just need to catch up. Need to get my love back. I'm sit down and 30 episodes of shit.
Well, I can't blame you. I mean, last year I kind of with the change in jobs and just sort of a general burnt outedness towards the end of the year, I kind of just gave the show over to you and Jesse and was like, yeah, finish. Just finish the year for me. And then Jesse and I did. And you did. And then Jesse and I did our tribute to Weird Al, which unfortunately you couldn't be a part of. But that, the time off gave me ample time to get excited about the show again. And we've got a pretty loaded schedule of shows coming up over the next couple of months. I'm excited to hear what two you picked out for the month of March. But, we got January loaded up. We got February loaded up. You got 2 in March. And then April, we're going to do the new Nightwish and Prong, I think it is. There's a Prong covers album coming out. And, if there's a covers album, Mark will be there to talk about it. So the Metal Hammer of Doom is off to a roaring start. And I'm especially excited for this episode, and I want to get right into it because this band, the songs are epically long. We're talking Metallica length here. But
we're talking Dream
start of the year. Yeah, at the start of the year, new music albums are a little slow to come out. I didn't want to have to start digging back into what came out in November, December. I kind of wanted to start fresh for 2015. So you have to give some time for bands to start putting out some albums. And so what to do in the meantime? Well, we've got an established history here on the Metal Hammer of Doom of doing some career retrospectives. We've done Pantera, we've done Clutch, we've done Slayer. Rob put a gun to my head, and we did Megadeth in two parts. Another thing we like to do is cover old albums. But I decided that this year, because I had it on my mind, and I wanted to sort of rediscover my love of the band. This year, we're going to tackle one of my favorite bands of all time, a band that produced a perfect album, in my opinion. And that band from Brooklyn, New York, are goth metal rockers themselves, Typo Negative. So we're going to play a lot from Bloody Kisses tonight. This is going to be a very heavy Bloody Kisses episode. But we're going to hit every single album for at least one track. And we'll talk about a little bit about the band's history and the stylings and tell some stories as to how the band related to me and I related to the band. But I want to hear from you first, Robert, before we hear our first track from the band's inaugural album, Slow, Deep, and Hard. You being significantly younger than I, were you ever exposed to Type Negative until I forced this shit on you?
A little bit. I had a friend, one who loves, my friend Kevin, who I did the Three Beards with for a while. He liked them, and so I heard a little bit of them, which is weird because Kevin only likes Mike Patton typically. If you're listening, hi Kevin. You're not listening. But I have a little bit of experience. Dan Haggerty's old mosh pit column on 411. He damn it, cat, you spilled water. He covered some Typo Negative when he was doing his retrospectives. And I remember I downloaded, which song was it? The song off of, the one that was after Bloody Kisses, the one with the thorns on it, October Rustnape. Is that the one? I think so. Anyways, yeah, he talked about that, and I made like a habit for a while of like every week I'd go and download a song off of each album he recommended. So I ended up downloading that song, and I was like, oh, this Typo Negative band's pretty cool. But I never really followed through because the funny thing with me is, like, if it's an usually I don't listen to established bands, like, a whole ton because they're there. Like, you know, like established bands like Motorhead, even, like, older, like middle-aged Black Sabbath, like the 80s Black Sabbath and stuff. Like, a lot of them I just kind of take them for granted. Like, Iron Maiden's another one, Judas Priest. Like, I know the albums that I bought and that I really like, but I'm not one of those that's like, oh yeah, I fucking love like I went and bought 1916 by Motorhead and like it's fucking amazing. Like before that, I have not listened to it because a lot of those bands I almost feel like they're there and everybody knows they're there, so I feel like I should go on like an adventure to go find something else. You know what I'm saying? So like I oftentimes kind of skip the more mainstream known bands and move on to something a little more obscure. I don't know. But Typo, I've liked to have listened to them. They actually, a band that I wish we could do a career retrospective on down, Would You Pre. Like I can totally see where they were influenced by Typo Negative with a lot of really deep vocals and the doomy stuff, which is really funny because this band's kind of doomy, and I know you hate doom, so I found this hilarious that you would love this band. So funny. Yeah, and Would You Pre have a lot of lyrics that are very, really personal to a degree, especially in their later two albums. So yeah, I enjoyed the little adventure this took. I'll admit I didn't listen to all the albums because I must sound like a dick, but I kept forgetting that this podcast was today. Dude, that happened actually. That was the main reason I had to bow out of Weird Al. Okay, that was part of the reason I had to bow out of Weird Al because actually we didn't get off till 11:30 that night. But I was like, oh shit, I forgot about that podcast. Like, I think working in school then has made it to where I don't look at dates. I look at what day it is. So I always forget stuff. But yeah, so today and yesterday I've been listening to a lot of Typo, trying to be up to snuff. And I gotta say, Peter Steele, Playgirl cover model of the month. Great guy, great lyricist, fucking amazing man.
Well, as I hear you talk, what resonates to me is definitely the difference in our age, because you're like, oh, I didn't pay a lot of attention to them because they were an established band. Back in my day, where we had to walk.
This was the underground shit.
Yeah, back in my day, where we were walking to school, 80 miles uphill in the snow both ways. And we were grateful. This was like, this was on the edge. This was Typo Negative, Pantera, Sepultura, Life of Agony, Machine Head, Fear Factory. Those were they were all part of the resurgence of metal. They all played a part, and they were the cutting edge. That's the phrase I was looking for. Typo Negative, their first album came out. Wikipedia has the band existing from 1989 to 2010. The Slow, Deep, and Hard, I believe, came out. I'll tell you exactly when it came out. 1991. And I was in high school at the time. So Slow, Deep, and Hard, The Origin of the Feces, which is a fake live album, Bloody Kisses, were all while I was in high school. And as they say, the music you were listening to, as Chris Rock said, the music you listened to around the time that you were getting laid is the music you'll listen to for the rest of your life. And really,
or it could be me, and it could be the music that you listen to while you're not getting laid. Is the music you'll probably be listening to for the rest of your life, and that's probably why you're not getting laid.
Yeah, I think the point that he's trying to make was the music of your formative years, your high school years, is probably the music you'll keep with you forever. And sure, so Type O Negative was part of that. As we begin to talk about some of these songs, I'll talk about some of the times I've seen them live, and I saw them a bunch. The years that, like I said, I was in high school from 1990 to 94, and they toured a lot during that period with a lot of different bands. And so I've got a number of stories from when I've seen them. I'll tell my Halloween one in just a little bit. I saw them at the Electric Hellfire Club. And
the Hellfire Club. I know who they are.
And I had to save my friends from a near riot. But let's start with the first track. Now, Slow, Deep, and Hard is a very theatrical album, and we only chose one track on it, but it's a real beaut. This is Unsuccessfully Coping with the Natural Beauty of Infidelity, or as it's known on The Origin of the Feces, I Know You're Fucking Someone Else. And what's great about it, it's over 12 minutes, this song. And it's almost like a rock opera. And one of the great things about Type O Negative that I keyed into was how personal the lyrics were. Rob has kidded me in the past for not paying attention to lyrics, but Type O Negative are one of those bands where the lyrics were not to be ignored. Part of that is the fact that Pete Steele's vocal style is very, very clear. You can definitely make out what he's saying for the most part, and so it's easy to, I think, hear the lyrics the way they're meant to be heard. But besides that, this is one of those songs that is clearly deeply personal to Pete Steele, but it also, in terms of love lost, feeling betrayed by the one you love, is something that I think a lot of guys, and let's be fair, a lot of women can relate to. So you have a highly relatable subject sung with so much pain. It's hard to ignore this song, and it's truly, for as rough as it can be at times, it truly is one of the best songs I've heard in the metal genre. So here we go. This is going to be a long one, like I said. Legally, I think I can play less than half of a song, and I skirt that line a lot on the show. But I want people to hear the different breaks and chapters of this song. So we're going to play just about half of it. So buckle in, folks. This is Unsuccessfully Coping with the Natural Beauty of Infidelity, otherwise known as I Know You're Fucking Someone Else.
Trust and you'll be trusted, says the liar to the fool. Love someone of your busted, in love and war there ain't no rules. Do you believe in forever? I don't even believe in tomorrow. The only thing that lasts forever
we'll stop it there, though I love the next part of the song just as much. Let me say this before I get Rob's reaction. My wife puts up with a lot from me, which would include me singing this entire song around the house. Sometimes too. This woman has done nothing wrong. She's never been unfaithful, and that's the furthest thing from it. Yet I feel the need to wander around the house behind her, yelling, "And you're a..." "You don't think I don't know what you're doing, you stupid twat?" And her just looking at me going, you know, it's a very Lois Peter Griffin dynamic we have. She just sort of looks at me and says, "When will this particular fixation pass?"
That's adorable.
The other really sad part is that, you know, they say you should sing to your children. Of course, I've told the story, I've said several times how I sing all kinds of stuff to my kids, especially when they're babies and they have no idea what the hell I'm saying. And I started to sing this one to Jonas, and I couldn't bring myself to do it. This was the brown-eyed girl of Jonas's life for me. I couldn't get through the song. Even this one was a bit much for me. But it's such a great
brown-eyed girl. Technically, brown-eyed girl can at least sound innocent if you don't know what you're doing. I don't think this song can really be like. I don't think this song you can really be like, "Oh shit, that's what it means."
Yeah, if you don't understand the meaning of this song, it's because you speak Spanish.
Or you're 8.
Or you're 8. Yeah. All right. So a lot of pain, a lot of suffering. I think this cuts right to the heart of the matter. Deeply personal song. That's one of my personal favorites. What are some of your thoughts here, sir, as we heard this song play minute after minute?
It was a really good personal song. I could feel as much pain coming from him as when we had to listen to the Bro Down album last year. I feel like that pain was about the same level. It was I could feel it resonating. And he was like,
I see.
She should have been straight edge.
So clear. You're now comparing someone's infidelity to having to listen to Hatebreed.
No, Throwdown.
Oh, Throwdown. Okay. Gotcha. Sorry.
Hatebreed at least had a few memorable and at least cheesy things to it. Throwdown was just obnoxious and annoying. But yeah, it's not the same level of pain, I'm sure. But I think this song does a lot of things really well. It manages to keep the phrase "I know you're fucking someone else" so catchy, right? They manage.
Never once have I heard the phrase "You've had cock on your mind and cum on your breath." Another quite famous saying around this house these days. You've had cock on your mind and cum on your breath, and never has a phrase like that been so catchy.
It's so wonderful. So actually, the lyrics I was just reading, maybe it was wrong. I don't know. Let's look at this here. You had okay. See, the first thing of lyrics, because I was reading along with the song. The first one says you had cunt on your mind and cum on your breath. I'm like, wait, what? Whoa. I'm like, lesbian three ways? Did we just switch points of view? I don't understand. Yeah, I was like, huh? This took a weird turn in the slash fic. But it you could feel his pain and anguish, and the words that he uses are not very nice. As well as they really shouldn't be nice. But this song really made me understand why I need to listen to all of Typo Negative, because even though it's kind of depressing and a subject just makes you kind of want to go, I don't want to hear about it because it just turns you off so much, you want to keep listening.
Yeah, I think if you've ever been cheated on, or if you've had a girl who turned away from, you know, a girl whom you gave your heart to and she turned away from you for one reason or another. I think, you know, you hear this song and you don't quite feel as alone. You know, you know you're not the only one out there, obviously, who has suffered it, or at least it's a reminder of that. And so in a way, it kind of makes me feel good listening to the song because, you know, we all kind of share in Peter Steele's pain. Because we've all been there in one way, shape, or form. But I think what definitely comes across to me in this is like how powerful it is. The other thing is the way the song is structured. You know, thematically, the band kind of shifts between those doomy goth dirges and like punk blast beats, and that's a common sound throughout all of their albums. And this song sort of encapsulates that. Like if somebody really wanted to know what the Typo Negative sound like give me the best Typo Negative song so I can understand what this band is, they just have to listen to all 12 minutes of this song. Because it covers all the bases. You know, it covers the punk part, it covers the doom, it covers the swing, the more mainstream sounds. I mean, it's really perfect. It's the perfect Typo Negative song. And it's really funny that it's like the very first song on Slow, Deep, and Hard. It's like they you want to talk about putting your best foot forward. If they never wrote another song again, it would have been like, well, this is Typo Negative in a nutshell. But this song is a story. You know, I think that's the other thing I like about it. You know, we didn't get to hear the second half of the song, but you know, the very last part of it, you know, he's talking about like, so you sit home drinking alone, empty bottle in your hand. You know, it's almost like he's talking like singing through the stages of grief. You know, and you get to that sort of acceptance part. It's a great song, and definitely worth listening to the whole thing. It'll be the last word, and then we'll move on to Bloody Kisses, all like 97 songs that we put on here from that album.
So, see, it's a good thing I own that album because that cut down on a lot of downloading time. I was like, all right, we're good. Found this for like $4 at the used bookstore. Hell yeah. Yeah, actually, there was Typo Negative ones at Goodwill, and I went and I picked up the case, and I'm like, yes! And then I opened the case, and I was like, no! There was no Typo Negative. Like, seriously, like, stealing from Goodwill is a problem. I went there one day, and I opened all the video game cases, and I had 15 cases that I brought up to the front. I'm like, here you go, guys. Empty. Anyways, back to the song. It's such a good song, and for somebody like me, I really saw them as like a doom band. Like, I didn't really know they had a whole ton of punk and thrash in them. They totally do, which is awesome. Because, like, when I first heard them, I'm like, holy shit, what? Wow. Because, you know, I listened to Bloody Kisses, like, once. Because I was like, oh, I really like this album. But it wasn't, I didn't know the words. And my favorite part about doom is singing. So I was like, yeah, I'll revisit it some other time. I listened to it, like, twice today. But, you know, I was like, all right, well, it's like, okay, you know, it's a doom band. But then hearing this, I'm like, holy fuck. And then I look at Peter Steele's page on Metal Archives, and I'm like, oh, he was in a thrash band first. Makes sense. Carnivore. Yeah, it's a good song. It's I mean, apparently it's a great album. So actually, did we skip an album, or was Origin of the Feces just not really that?
Well, I mean, Origin of the Feces is supposed to be like a fake live album, and it's a lot of, you know, rearranges of stuff from Slow, Deep, and Hard, and there just wasn't enough time.
And it does have that album cover. Well, you know about the album cover, the one that's just straight up like a picture of an asshole.
Yeah, that's actually not the one that I own. I own the one with the green on it.
I think it was like banned pretty quick. But hey, at least we got a little look at the cut and stuff that was cut out of the Playgirl shoot.
Yeah. Oh boy. All right, let's move. In the interest of time, let's move on here to Typo Negative's. I mean, Typo Negative's next album, next full-length original album, Bloody Kisses, went platinum. This is, and it's so funny because they really peaked in 1993. The band would exist until, I think, what was it, 2010? I said, with Dead Again, but they peaked here in 1993 with Bloody Kisses, their platinum album. This was huge. Now you have to understand, though I categorize myself as a metalhead, and certainly that was my preferred style of music to listen to, I had a lot of goth friends, and I hung out in goth clubs because that's where they also played industrial music like Ministry and KMFDM. So there was a lot of intermingling of metalheads and the goth culture. And I know I've told this story before, but for those of you listening to the first time or just don't remember it, the mingling of the metal culture and goth culture got so bad that at one point, Life of Agony toured with KMFDM, and the New York hardcore crowd beat the living shit out of the goth industrial kids that showed up to see KMFDM. And I remember my friend and I looking at each other going, we lost a lot of good goths that day.
And the Thrashers, right? The only dead goth is a dead goth.
Yeah.
And the historian said the only good goth was a goth.
But that's what it was. And goth as it was back in the 90s. And, you know, the word has been bastardized, and I don't want to go into a whole thing. I want to play music tonight and kind of talk about that. But I have to say this. The culture of goth, the word itself, was a certain type of thing. It was a reflection of European Renaissance, sort of mixed with doomy, gloomy music, and it became something where, you know, my 10-year-old cousin would say, "I'm goth. I listen to Korn and Rob Zombie," and I'd have to refrain from strangling her in 1999. So, you know. And it would be the kind of thing where if you happen to wear black and your hair was colored in any kind of way, soccer moms across the country were calling you goth and were, you know, and had their hand on the suicide hotline. And it was to evolve or devolve from where it started when I was in high school, and even further back than that, to what it became is just a sad state of American culture and affairs. But one of the funny things about Typo Negative is that while it celebrated the culture, it also made fun of it. And there's a lot of that, I think, represented on Bloody Kisses. It's both a celebration of the goth culture as much as it is satirizing it. So with that said, let's go to the first track we're going to play from this album, which, you know, Black Number One's the one that really makes fun of the goth culture, but we're going to start with one of the big hits from here, besides Black Number One. This is Christian Woman.
Across upon her bedroom wall, from grace she will fall. An image burning in her mind, and between her thighs.
So you get the idea there. Christian woman, themes of religion and sensuality. What do you think of it?
Well, yeah, religion, sensuality, a little bit of hypocrisy. Not the band Hypocrisy. So I wish the band Hypocrisy would show up. That'd be awesome. But yeah, I thought this was a pretty. I thought this was a pretty good song. I liked it. It reminded me of church. Because, I'm in the South. Even the funny thing, I was on the cheap seats this week, and Sean was like, I thought you lived in Indiana. I'm like, no. Why would anybody go to Indiana? Even though, we got our first random caller ever, and he was from Indiana. I'm like, what? Why? But yeah, this gives me, little flashbacks to, all the Baptist churches I've been to. I'm thinking of all the people who.
Christian Woman was the second single they released from Bloody Kisses, and along with Black Number One, it was probably the most mainstream accessible song that the album produced, the band produced, really. This certainly got a lot of airplay. This got a video, and it was, and as far as Typo Negative songs go, it was a good one. Definitely one of the more memorable songs. It's I think when people think of Typo Negative, this and Black Number One is what they think of. But I think the one that spoke to me more thematically was Black Number One, because it's totally about making fun of a goth girl. And there were several friends of mine who started out, some of them looking more tomboyish, some of them were very, very girly, but they all fell in love with the goth culture, some more so than others. And I remember we had a friend of ours who shall remain nameless, and sometimes I'll totally call people out on this show. In this particular case, because of the nature of the story, I'm gonna let this gal remain anonymous. But she had a wall in her room that she used to write on, and she would write little notes and poetry and little sayings and stuff like that. And she threw a party once, and my buddy and I, we got drunk on mini kegs of beer, handheld mini kegs, and we decided to add stuff to her wall, and it was totally we were 9-inch goths, and basically, what we were doing, and we thought we were being funny, but the girls didn't think so much, is we were totally calling them out on being posers. And I'm sure it wasn't fair, because sometimes high school is that time where you're supposed to be, high school and college, where you're discovering who you are and what your voice is, and you're trying on different hats. And this group fell so much in love with this culture and this band and everything surrounding it, that we felt the need to tear them and it down, because we're dicks like that. And that's what I think of when I think I was such an asshole back then. And if you're listening, Gary, so are you. But that was many years ago. And here it is, folks, the song that started it all. This is Black Number One, Little Miss Scare-All.
Now it's all Hallows Eve. small. Will she trick or treat? I'll bet she will.
And so it goes on like that. Just to add a little something to what I was saying before, there are absolutely cases where some people are taking themselves way too seriously in whatever culture, but in this case, the goth industrial culture. Boy, did I meet plenty of those folks, and it wasn't these particular gals. We were being mean. But there were people that we met in clubs and at concerts, and they just thought they were royalty. And a song like this was really, really great, in terms of tearing those kinds of folks down, and reminding them that thou art mortal. But now you are from a different time than I, as we have said multiple times on this show.
In the 90s, in the early 90s, you were in high school. In the early 90s, I was being born. So.
Yeah. So that's why I'm curious to see what your reaction to what I was saying was, because by the time you were coming of age, goth had already been bastardized, and the whole concept wasn't what it really was.
Really, this can just be reapplied to other cultures. Like, I look at this and I think of a lot of scene kids that I know or knew, which, to be fair, actually a lot of the scene kids, it's very much kind of taking some of that goth culture and reappropriating it to a more modern sort of thing. But it reminds me of like the kids that I knew in high school that were tried to look all like dark and badass and thought they were so important and cool and wore trip pants and everything. Those kids are jackasses. But anyways, I totally get what this is saying. Like, it's really talking about just a person that takes themselves way too seriously and thinks that there's something so much more extreme and dark than they really are. It's kind of like, it's kind of like some metalheads I know that act like they're some like fucking badasses and, they'll fucking kill you, but really they're harmless. They're a bunch of fucking nerds. I thought this song was actually pretty fucking hilarious. Just talking
same
about
group of gals came with me to my grandmother. This same group of gals came with me to my grandmother's house once. I had to go over there for some reason or another, and my old Italian grandmother, and they're all decked out in black, and their hair is dyed black. Their roots weren't showing at the time, but they could have. Their roots weren't showing, so they could go out, and it wasn't raining. In any case, they accompanied me. We were all hanging out together, and I stopped by my grandmother's house, and they came in with me because I didn't know how long I was going to be. And like I said, they're decked out in black, and they've got their crosses on, and their cheap fucking silver jewelry that they got from whatever was the hot topic of the day. and you know, their hair was dyed black, and they had black lipstick on and eyeshadow and everything. And my grandmother, God bless her, looks at these two people and says, "Addams Family?"
Fucking love that. Good job, Grandma.
I remember, like, they were trying to reconcile the idea of this is an old woman who doesn't quite understand them with the fact that they took umbrage at the comment. You know? It's like we get that you're a sweet old lady and you don't get this. On the other hand, boy, are we insulted.
That's so funny. Like, you know, like that whole style, like it just reminds me a lot of the scene kids in there. Like the early college kids when I was in high school, and actually and the early college kids when I was in community college. It'd be, you know, with the all different hair dyes and like the lip piercing or the nose piercing and the bright colored jeans and their, you know, their core band shirts. And I'm just sitting there laughing. I'm like, I know they're trying to be unique and different, and it's very similar to like those girls who just wanted to look dark and mysterious and serious. Like, you know, they think they're so different and cool. And you could say the same about me and my denim jacket of many buttons. Actually, it's like 3. But, you know,
the last thing I want to say about this is you can totally tell Peter Steele knew women like this, knew girls like this, and had experiences kind of like what we're talking about, and used this as an opportunity to tear them down. This is definitely one of those, you know, don't start shit with a writer who buys ink by the barrel, because you're going to end up in one of their songs or their stories or whatever, and that is definitely what happened here.
Yeah, that's totally how I see it.
All right, let's switch gears here for a moment, and I'd like to dedicate this next song to the citizens of Ferguson, Missouri. This is "Kill All the White People."
No.
And the song just sort of goes on from there. They took a break from the usual sound and just sort of whipped that one out. And really, it's just a cheeky way of dealing with the fact that Pete Steele used to be in a band called Carnivore, and there were people who believed him to be an anti-Semite and a neo-Nazi, and that came out of stuff that was that was part of the Carnivore albums and years. Specifically, I believe the story goes, this came out of some negative interactions that they had with the fans in Europe who remembered them from their Carnivore days and were still equating them with neo-Nazis. Now, having a song like Elvis Hitler probably doesn't help. But suffice it to say, Pete Steele, not a Nazi, not a racist as such. And it's like, what's the best way to sort of deal with your enemies but skewer them with comedy? And thus they wrote "Kill All the White People, Then We Be Free." Another popular song that I like to sing around the house, by the way, especially to my children.
Like a kid in the eye, kill all the white people, they'll be free. Yeah. You know, sometimes I kind of feel like this song is, it's not really how I'm seeing at my college, but, you know, sometimes. Because, like, there's one time we got into a discussion on race, and I was quiet the whole time, which never happens in class discussion, ever. One guy, Carlos, goes, He goes, "Hey, Robert, what do you think on this?" And I'm like, well.
He's like, now the next time you're asked that question, just say, well, we should kill all the white people, then we'll be free.
Yeah. Oh, he's like, I'm going to put you on the spot. I'm like, don't you do that, Carlos. Don't you be an asshole. He's like, I'm going to do it. It's going to be funny. I'm like, damn it, Carlos. So he did it. But, as I was talking, I'm like, as a white guy, I kind of feel like I kind of feel like society has made me the person who does everything bad. Because, well, if I may quote Pocahontas, beware of the white man, for he is dangerous. And, like, my teacher's like, well, that's not true. But, like, still, sometimes I feel like kill all the white people the way it goes. Because, well, historically, for white people. But, I don't know. It's a funny-ass song. I like it. I'm going to play it. When I come through, when I go to the parking lot tomorrow, there you go.
It was a great song, too. When you saw Typo Negative live, which, as I said earlier, I've done many, many times, that was always a good one to sort of wake the crowd up and get a mosh pit going. Some of these songs are a little hard to mosh to, especially with all the the stops and starts. But you want to get a crowd go. You want to get the crowd going, get them up, wake them up. Kill all the white people is always a good way to go. Now let's talk about covers for a moment. And I think the mark of a good cover, a good attempt at a cover, is to take something from out of the metal genre and create a metal song out of it. Those are, I think, my favorite kind of covers. The ones that you typically would not associate with a metal song, and find that it actually works that way. Kind of like food, they deconstruct it or reconstruct it. I like that sort of thing. I like taking something that doesn't belong in a certain genre or category and making it work in that genre or category. So here you have goth metal rockers, Typo Negative, taking on Seals and Crofts. And what a creation they came up with. This is Summer Breeze.
Yo, by any means necessary. Word.
people are wondering, we are not going to be playing the next 5 to 20 minutes of Summer Girl that follows this. Just going to say that right now. But anyway, Summer Breeze, your thoughts, sir?
Hey, it was a good cover. The entire time I'm listening to it, I'm like, hey, I remember the original. Damn, this is definitely different. I like it. This is I think that we ever cover this in our covers podcast. I'm sure I mentioned it, but I feel like this, like a cover like this, is like a truly like great cover. Like, because covers, I know, as we've discussed, covers are like it's not really easy to mess up a cover. As long as you just do a cover and play it well, you're fine. But oftentimes with these covers, it's kind of they're just kind of hard to grade because that's the cover, like it's just somebody else's lyrics and music and you playing it just like they do, but you are you, so it's different. I think that's really what it is. But something like this takes the original and changes it and tries to rework it in a way that's different, and I feel like this one really succeeds, unlike some of the ones that we played in our last covers podcast, where you and Jesse were like, that's a girl. I'm like, guys, it's a guy. No, it's not. It is, I'm telling you. I don't understand why we need to bring that up. Because it's somewhat relevant to the conversation, because they tried to do a cover changing the style of something, and, well, I don't feel like it worked nearly as well as this. Like, this is one of those songs I feel like they end beside the original as a great version of the song, like an interpretation that's different, this is almost a different song. It's good. That's great. I like it. I've noticed Typo does some great covers. I think I have didn't they do a Depeche Mode cover? I'm pretty sure I have a Depeche Mode cover from them somewhere on my computer.
Not entirely certain they've done Depeche Mode, though they've done a lot. They've done a bunch of Black Sabbath. They did Hey Pete, which is actually Hey Joe by Jimi Hendrix. We're gonna play some other covers that they've done a little bit later on in the show. On The World Coming Down, they did a Beatles medley. So they've done some real oddball ones.
No, okay, it wasn't Depeche Mode. See, it was Vader, I think. Let me see that real quick.
So as I said earlier, I've seen them live a few times. I've seen them with like Pantera. I've seen them with the Electric Hellfire Club. When I was coming up in college and in grad school, they were touring a lot, so I got to see them a bunch of times. I'll talk a little bit about when they tried to transition into into a Coliseum band, from a club band to a Coliseum band, and how they sort of fell on their face. But I'll wait till we get to October Rust to talk about that. In the meantime, as I said, there are some great, Typo Negative always put on, I think, a great show. They knew how to break up their set so that, the guys who were really into metal and wanted to mosh could have those moments. And another crowd pleaser in terms of getting the crowd going was this next song, one of my personal favorites. This is We Hate Everyone. And it goes out to all the people who ever said, I'm not racist, I hate everyone equally.
Right-wing comments, leftist nonsense, point their fingers, rumors later. We don't care what you think. We don't care what you think. Whoa, 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 whoa.
I would love to let that song play until he says, "We don't give a fuck," blah. But, you know, you can go back and listen to it. One of the great things about that song is how, you know, we've been talking for the better part of an hour now about, you know, about the goth culture. But lest we forget, Typo Negative came out of the New York hardcore scene, you know, and we're from Brooklyn, New York, where a lot of hardcore bands made their bones. And a song like We Hate Everyone definitely captures the spirit of punk rock and New York hardcore. You know, it is the daddy of the sound of the group, you know, and goth being the mommy and the hardcore being the daddy. So this one definitely honors its father.
Yeah. I mean, I see this as like a nice like middle point, because when I first listened to this song, when I got into the car the other day, when I got in my class today, I was like, yeah, this fucking hardcore is awesome, and I was headbanging, and I was singing it the entire way. Then I got back into the car to go to my buddy's house. I was like, oh, this has a very odd tonal change halfway through. All right. But then it goes back, and I'm like, okay. But by the way, did the other singer, I don't know who the other singer is, did he remind you of James Hetfield a little?
Maybe.
Yeah, because at first I was like, it's got to be James Hetfield. It wasn't James Hetfield. But I was like, I don't know. Just the We Don't Care part. It was just like, James Hetfield.
It's fun. On the origin of the theses, one of the credits is for the Benzenhoist lesbian choir, which is actually just the band doing their own backup vocals.
That's awesome. Oh, and it wasn't, I found out it was Vader. It just sounded kind of Typo Negative-y, it was just the vocals. It was, IFY was the song, I Feel You. And then Vader did it, and it wasn't a death metal song. It had, like, really deep vocals. And I'm like, oh, that's why I kept saying Typo Negative. But anyways, yeah, this was a pretty cool song. I really enjoy it. I like it. It was fun. It's punky. It's got some goth stuff in there. It's nice. It's wonderful.
You ever hear Rammstein cover Depeche Mode? They do it in English.
I have not, but it sounds like a perfect marriage.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. When you have a second, definitely go on YouTube and look up. I'm not going to play it on the show because we really don't have time. But Rammstein's cover of Stripped is creepy. Speaking of creepy, here's our next song, another great one from Bloody Kisses. Bloody Kisses is like the Appetite for Destruction of Typo Negative albums. It really is. It's a perfect album. It's one of those I can listen to straight through over and over and over again, more so than any other album that they put out. And it's funny, I think about some of the other albums we've done retrospectives of, you know, I think more so than Pantera or Slayer, you know, Typo Negative I think had the most accessible music, and Bloody Kisses is probably out of all of those the one album I could listen to multiple times without getting tired of it, more so than any of the ones that we talked about. Notice I left out Clutch because that's different. In any case, here is Too Late Frozen, not to be confused with Frozen the movie. And no, I do not want to build a snowman. Cooper. No, stop that. You're too late, Frozen.
late for apologies.
So that's Too Late for Frozen, Too Late for Apologies. It's a good song. No complaints there. Good rockin' song. Little, picks up a little bit from the earlier stuff, but not quite as heavy as Kill All the White People or We Hate Everyone. Nice middle ground, accessible song right there.
Too late to go build a snowman.
Moving on.
It was a good song, though.
So here's our last song from Bloody Kisses. I want to move this along pretty quickly. The song actually, I played the Bloody Kisses version, but there's a remix of this that was featured on a Mortal Kombat soundtrack. And other than the fact that it's another good rockin' song, much in the same vein as Too Late Frozen, it gives me fond memories of the Mortal Kombat soundtrack. And if you're wanting to know which one I'm referring to, if you know anything about these, not the original movie soundtrack, the one that was Mortal Kombat More music. There was a sequel to the original Mortal Kombat soundtrack, and it's got all the good stuff on it. During the song, I'll look it up for everyone. But yeah, if you were into sort of industrial music at the time, that was the hot find back then, back in the 90s. Now, Mortal Kombat the movie is a whole other story. So here it is. This is Blood and Fire. Okay, so that actually was featured on the a remix of that. The Out of the Ashes remix was actually featured on the original Mortal Kombat soundtrack. But More Kombat was basically a compilation of songs inspired by the soundtrack, and it has Psychonic on it. It has Begun, a Sepultura remix of Chaos AD called Chaos BC. Godless Underwater, Sister Machine Gun, Seven Dust, Babylon Zoo with their song Spaceman, which if you've never heard of before, it's just fucking awesome. Juno Reactor. There's some good stuff on here. The actual Mortal Kombat soundtrack wasn't bad either, to be honest with you. That had on it, I don't know if you remember it at all, but that had on it the KMFDM's Juke Joint Jezebel, which was big at the time, the Utah Saints version of the Mortal Kombat theme, which was amazing, Sister Machine Guns Burn, which was really good, Napalm Death, Twist the Knife Slowly, which was an amazing song, Mother's Day Out, What You See, We All Bleed Red, that's a good one. So, yeah, those were the shit back then, back in good old 1995.
Dude, that's fucking killer. Like,
yeah.
that reminds me that's awesome. And see, back in the day, I used to think the Daredevil soundtrack was badass. Oof.
Oh my God, you just didn't know. When this show is over, go listen to the Utah Saints do Mortal Kombat, and you will have an erection. I promise. It's the cure for what ails you.
Yeah. That sounds like.
People listening to the show go like, "Cool, this just got weird." All right, speaking of weird, 1996 is the follow-up to 1993's Bloody Kisses, October Rust. Went gold. Didn't do nearly as well as Bloody Kisses. Like I said, they peaked with Bloody Kisses. They peaked real early. But October Rust was a solid follow-up. It was the search for Spock to Bloody Kisses, The Wrath of Khan. And their first single was the next song we're going to play here. This is Love You to Death.
I am your soul.
can totally picture you outside the house of your object of lust, the girl you adore, whoever she may be this week, in your trench coat with a boombox over your head, playing this song.
And the cops chasing right after me for trespassing.
Well, you're white, so at least they won't murder you in cold blood.
Yeah. Well, you never know. Yeah.
Yes, I make that joke, but I actually took the cop side in that one.
Oh,
But you're like, I'm not touching this subject. You can't make me.
Oh, God. Sorry, I was reading something, but yeah, it's really funny. Like, I had one girlfriend, just one, but I never got to meet her family. The funny thing was, it's just random tangent. I always imagine walking in their house and fucking hit my head on everything like I'm Gandalf, because she's like 5 foot and her whole family's fucking short. And I'm like 6'2". Yeah, so I was like, you live in fucking
Robert, ladies and gentlemen, we break news on here on the Metal Hammer of Doom. Robert Cooper fell in love with a hobbit.
I did once. That was like 2 years ago. Yeah. Hey, short girls are awesome. You know, they're fun.
Was it the second breakfast that finally put you over the edge and you had to break up with her?
Actually, it was half-seas. And then tea time. I couldn't do it. I had things to do in my life.
All right. So that's that one. Now we're going to pick up the pace again. And here's a fun song. Because if you're trying to attract a male audience, what better topic to write about than lesbianism? This is My Girlfriend's Girlfriend. Girlfriend's Girlfriend. Good song.
It's a good anthem. You know, I like the message behind it.
And what message is that, Rob Cooper?
Lesbians. America, lesbians. Like as soon as I saw what the song was, I'm like, this is gonna be great. And it was. Like, I need to listen to more of this album. If it is anything, well, I mean, shit. Metal Archives, like every one of their albums has like at least an 80, like 80, 85, which is great. Like, it is really hard to find bands with stuff like that. Yeah, let's see. 94, 84, 90, 92, 95, 86, 88. That's great. Like, especially when you get past, like, 10 reviews per album. Yeah. Oh, so damn good.
So, that was the second single put out from October Rust, and it is obviously about a polyamorous relationship. And I know a therapist, actually, that I used to work with, who allegedly is in a polyamorous relationship. And, you know, I mean, you follow me on Facebook. You know, there are certain types of articles I like to repost and retweet and whatnot, aggregate as such. That's all she'll post. It's like she's totally into like pushing the polyamorous society on other people.
That sucks, damn it. Yeah. Oh, the polyamorous people. Oh, God. It's like, I never really got into that.
I just don't know how the logistics of that really work. You know, in the sense of, like, my wife and I, you know, like, we got it down for just the two of us, and we're not entirely sure that if you added anybody else, you know, another adult into the immediate mix of our home, that it would work out very well. Like, I just feel like the whole dynamic would be thrown off.
Yeah, like, I don't get polyamorous. Like, I don't get more than one, really. I don't know. Maybe I'm too old-fashioned or clingy. I don't know. That's what it is. Yeah, old-fashioned, clingy. They go hand in hand.
You know, there are great things about being married to a woman. There are awful things about being married to a woman, and I really don't want to multiply the awfulness.
Right, like, unlike with porn, where actually, this is going to sound weird, but anytime, like, I think there was once my mom. What?
I said weird on this show, the devil you say.
Well, shit, my mom was like, I think as my parents were watching something and they were lesbians, my mom's like, I don't get lesbians. I'm like, all right, let me do some math here for you. All right, you got one woman, all right, okay. And I'm like, that's great. That's more than enough. And then you add another woman. Huh? Right? See, it makes total sense mathematically. Yeah, one's good, two's better. Yeah. And she's like, that's good. I'm like, I'm just telling you math. But see, it doesn't work like that for relationships, because you get all the like problems of like nagging and why don't you think I'm pretty and why don't you love me enough? But then you get two of them. Like that TLC show with the guy with 5 wives. Like, I don't know how the fuck he does it. I don't know how those women do it.
People who have been following the Radulich Broadcasting Network for a while now know I have an ongoing joke about, you know, my future ex-wives, which my wife loves, by the way. And so Amanda is a coworker of my wife's, she's a fellow teacher, and I find Amanda to be a real pip. So I dubbed her one of my future ex-wives, and you know it's become, and she accepts it. It's an ongoing joke. But Amanda is not having a good time right now, and my wife and I were talking about how this is the first year in a long series of years as a teacher that she comes home relatively happy and satisfied with a good day's work, and she doesn't really complain anymore. I mean, the last couple of years, almost every day was worse than the day before. And there have been times where I've had bad days, and so the two of us are just, you know, smashing heads together. And then there were times where I was doing just fine, but every day I had to listen to her complain. Now, this is the first year she's not like that. But, you know, Amanda is a really good example of how she is surrounded by people who are not having a good time of things. And so where am I going with all of this? What if I was married to both of them? You know, like, I finally get a year where I'm saved from having to hear my wife complain endlessly about her job, only to have my other wife come home and complain about, you know, her job, or God knows what.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Actually, I'm about to call into my laptop because my phone's about to die. So, you know. But yeah, I don't. Yeah, but right. Like, you got one thing, and it's a problem, and then you bring in, like, another thing, and it's, like, twice as many problems. It's like, that 99 problems was bad. Like, imagine having, like, 198 problems, and the bitches ain't two.
And I will say this for all the women out there who aren't listening to this show. You know, if you're like, oh, that's not fair, well, what about if it was more than one guy? Women, think about it this way. You have one guy, right? One guy who might be playing video games, or one guy who, you know, you're having a hard time getting him to do the things that you need him to do. We'll multiply that by 2. You know, you think the answer is having another, like, if you've got one guy who, you know, who's maybe, like, you know, goes out and earns a lot of money, but you have a second guy who earns less money, but he's, like, more handy. No, the both of them aren't going to do a goddamn thing. They're going to go into another room and play video games. So, and this is why I don't accept polyamorous societies. You're just making the same mistakes, you know, double. And if you're out there, Patty, God bless you. If it makes you happy, then it can't be that bad. But here on the Metal Hammer of Doom, we're going to pass on my girlfriend's girlfriend.
Right. Sorry, this thing has been beeping.
Right. I'm going to give Robert a chance to hang up and call back. In the meantime, let's hear Typo Negative take on the inimitable Neil Young and his Cinnamon Girl. Dozed off there for a moment. It's late, so let the song play a little longer than I probably should have. We are waiting for Robert Cooper to dial back in on his computer. In the meantime, let me talk a little bit about the Yale Cinnamon Gal. Another cover, as I said before, they took on Neil Young this time around. Much like we said about Seals and Crofts' Summer Breeze and Typo Negative's interpretation of it, they do a really good job of making someone else's song their own. If you didn't know anybody, you would swear that that's a Typo Negative song. You know, it's very much done in the style of Typo Negative. They didn't just recreate somebody else's sound or somebody else's song, you know, and just speed it up or slow it down or whatever. Cinnamon Girl is very much a Typo Negative song in the spirit of what the band is trying to get accomplished. It's got a nice, upbeat swing to it. I really like it. It's one of those when I hear it, I tap my feet and put a little swagger in my walk. So it's a good one. When Robert finally does that, I'll let him add his 2 cents in. But we got to keep the show moving along here. It's about 23 minutes left of on-air time. We will probably go over. I guess that all depends on whether or not Robert can get back in or not. We will probably go over, and you'll be able to go back into the archives in a couple of hours and listen to the rest of the show. We'll see how far we get in the next 20 minutes. In the meantime, let's go ahead and when I initially suggested we were going to do this, I had a friend of the show and host of Source Material and co-host from the Cheap Seats, Jesse Starcher, remark about how bleak Typo Negative is. And October Rust certainly captured the spirit of bleakness, especially with this next song. This is Everyone I Love Is Dead. Episode of The Simpsons or something, like he wakes up from a dream and or episode of Family Guy, everyone's gone. But that's Everyone I Love Is Dead. And one of the more popular songs from this album. Don't believe that it was released as a single, but it was definitely, when they're talking about exploring themes of loss, this certainly fits right in there.
Yeah, I think so. I feel like there should be an Al Snow version of this song called "Everything I Love Is Head." I'd been sitting on that joke ever since I logged back into Skype. By the way, it is a bitch to get on Skype for Blog Talk right now. Blog Talk is a dick.
I have been disconnected 2 or 3 times since I got on before the show started.
Yeah, Blog Talk's an asshole. I mean, hell, last week it cut us off on the cheap seats. It booted me, Sean, and Jesse. So we were like, oh well, I guess we're fogged. Yeah, this song is bleak, but I like it. I mean, I love bleak. I love bleak songs, sad stuff, makes me feel better. I don't know. I've always noticed, anytime I'm in a bad mood, I go to sad music. I guess because misery loves company. But this, I mean, I could definitely tell that Peter Steele suffered from many years of depression. If I'm not mistaken, he did. Like he had some,
like it's unrealistic that you would find yourself in a position where everyone you love is dead. I actually hear that a lot where I work. Where people will just have like a run of terrible luck or worse. And they'll be in a situation where like 3 or 4, possibly up to 5 or 6 relatives, close relatives, died within like a 6-month or a 3-month span. They come in on drug charges or something really minor, but you still have to treat them the same way, and they realize like, oh my God, because we'll ask them questions like that, like, oh, have you had any recent losses, and they want to read you the list of everyone that's ever died that they've ever met. Let's go ahead and jump to the next song here. So part of the reason why I wanted to do the typo retrospective was so that I could advertise it as, this January 15th, everything dies. Be really cheeky about it. So that brings us to October Rest once more. Track 13 tonight that we're going to listen to, or song 13. This is Everything Dies.
And my uncle Lou, then he died. I'm searching for something which can't be found, but I'm hoping I still dream of Dad. We died. Everything dies. Everything dies. I'm not so sick.
All right, like I said, in the interest of time, and before I keep, falling asleep, falling asleep. What did you think of Everything Dies? Because, in one way it could be definitely interpreted as bleak and depressing, but I think there's also a glimmer of hope in the song. What are your thoughts?
I just want to give him a hug. Though it does remind me of a lot of anti-jokes, like why the clown fell out of the tree, he was dead. I don't know. It's just like, because at the end of it, it's just like, and he died, but he died, and she died. But, you know, it does make me really sad because it does hit that part, like, deep down. Like, you know, everybody dies, and you miss them. Like, you know, I always miss, like, a lot of people. My cats. There's a lot of my cats. I mean, I guess I'm young. I haven't really had that many people close to me die, so I don't know. I'm allowed to miss my cats for now. But, you know, like, you know, I've had both my grandpas die. I miss the shit out of both of them. You know, important people. And yeah, I have a feeling the same way you feel like that, the same way you feel with a lot of people. And that's, I think, how this song really goes. Like, you know, everyone dies and you miss them, and it's really sad. So, you know, you write a song about it. You write a song about it, right, Mark?
Yes. Sorry,
okay.
I drifted off.
Yeah, I noticed. I thought I heard you snoring, and I'm like, oh, fuck me.
Yeah, this is the downside to me doing a 12-hour work shift. I get to this point, and I start turning into a pumpkin.
Oh.
And I'll tell you this much. You don't want to be me, because I don't want to be me. Okay. So it's in between all of that. I forgot to mention that the last couple of songs we heard, Everyone I Love Is Dead and Everything Dies, were both from World Coming Down.
Yeah.
And let me say about that album, you know, after, you know, the height of Bloody Kisses, and then they hit a solid triple. You know, they hit a home run with Bloody Kisses, and there was a solid triple there with October Rust. They hit the World Coming Down, and it was like they, you know, they wrote some good songs there. Obviously, Love Everything Dies, Love Everyone I Love Is Dead, but it was definitely a slow. It was like the punk part of the band sort of departed for an album, and it was just very sludgy, very doomy, very very gloomy album. You know, the Type O Negative, the Drab Four, they definitely earned it with World Coming Down. We took a break. They released a best of called The Least Worst Of, and then they came back with Life Is Killing Me. And this is one of Life Is Killing Me. I Don't Want to Be Me, I believe, it wasn't released as a single. It was definitely one of the big songs from that album. Certainly I think one of the best ones on there.
Yeah, like that song, that was a really good song. I really liked it. Yeah, I'm actually looking into the lyrics of of I Don't Want to Be Me, because it's really interesting, because there's not a whole ton of lyrics, but you could literally, if I sat down for 15 minutes and dug into them, it'd be some great poetry analysis, some really interesting stuff.
Apparently, I Don't Want to Be Me is the entrance theme song for Irish professional wrestler Manic Kevin McDermott.
Well, damn, Kevin McDermott, I'm depressed.
And also, I Don't Want to Be Me is heard as a frequent sample on Grand Theft Auto 4.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be Nico Bellic either. Grand Theft Auto 4 was like, it was good, but it wasn't great.
Less than 10 minutes left on the show, folks. Hopefully I won't pass out again.
Yeah, because, I mean, I can totally, like, take over the hosting reins, but it'd just be me. It'd be odd, because I'd be like, well, that was a song. Next, that was a song.
All right. In the vein of me falling asleep in the middle of a podcast because I worked a 12-hour day, here is the title track. This is called Life is Killing Me.
Like a Jew in ancient Spain, before Christ's name did pay with pain, modern day Inquisition. What is the link between these crafts? Doctors and thieves, they both wear masks, overpaid. Meet magicians.
So the thing about Life is Killing Me, the album, is, and I think the title track is a really good example of it, as was I Don't Want to Be Me, is Typo Negative remembered that they were still a metal band with this album. I think it was a return to form, but not in the sense that they produced an album that was as quality as Bloody Kisses or even October Rust. But at the very least, they remembered they had some balls with Life is Killing Me, and remembered what their audience was. Because at the end of the day, while we all like, the gloomy, gothy stuff, we still want to hear music that rocks, music that's got some balls to it, as I've said many, many times on this show. So I think if you could sum up Life is Killing Me in one sentence, is that it was a reminder that Typo Negative still had some balls to it.
Yeah, this song was fucking metal. I really enjoyed it. Which was, return to form, as you did say, in terms of metal, because, I noticed on some of the previous albums, they really kind of shifted away from the doomier stuff and went more of the gothic sound, which, heck, I've heard that Peter Steele got a lot of pressure to make his stuff more commercial so that it would sell more records, because apparently Bloody Kisses went like gold and platinum for Roadrunner, so they were really trying to get them, to make more hits and stuff. But this song here is pretty cool. I like how it's about, kind of almost seems like against the healthcare industry to a degree, which I find to be funny because it's not doctors. Yeah, we watch enough Scrub. We know what's going on.
So this next one's a fun one. It's another cover, and I do enjoy the Typo Negative covers because they truly are very, very original. And this one is a real oddball. It's from a Broadway musical called Hedwig and the Angry Inch, which is about a sex change that has gone terribly, terribly wrong. And so the song that they chose to cover was Angry Inch. And it's really funny to hear Peter Steele sort of narrate a story about how he once had a penis and now he has a large vagina. So let's hear
China.
Peter's tale about let's hear Peter's tale about his vagina. We have 20 seconds left, so let me first thank you for first listening to this show tonight, and hope you enjoyed our retrospective of Typo Negative up to this point, and also for putting up with me momentarily passing out. Sorry. I'm trying here. But, no, in all seriousness, thank you guys for listening to the show.
Yeah, you're awesome. Love you.
We are now in recorded time, so for those of you who came back to hear the end of the show and hear us talk about Peter Steele's Angry Inch, his 1-inch mound of flesh, the sideways grimace. We appreciate grimace.
Like grimace from McDonald's?
Oh, God. We appreciate you coming back to listen to the rest of the show. And at the end of it, we'll talk about what's going to be up next in the next couple of weeks. But in the meantime, we still have a few more songs left from Typo Negative before we're out for the night, and I can mercifully go to sleep. In any case, you know what the Angry Inch kind of reminds me of, especially in the narration part? It reminds me of Detachable Penis.
Sorry, I just got flashbacks of Frankencock.
I wonder if that's a reference that's not lost on people. Has it? It's been King Missile, I think, made Detachable Penis like the late '80s, early '90s, and so it's entirely conceivable that no one knows what the fuck a King Missile or a Detachable Penis is.
Oh, I don't know what that is. I was thinking of Rowena Bobbitt the whole time, and then I started thinking about how her husband went straight back to when porn after he got it reattached.
Wait a sec. You've never heard Detachable Penis?
I have not.
Oh, my goodness. All right. I may have to break my own rule here for a second. Let's go ahead and listen to a fabulous song here called I Like Goyles. Hopefully that doesn't get me sued.
Yeah, you'll be fine. We once played an entire Carcass song, and you didn't even know you played a whole Carcass song.
This is true. All right. So I have to. I feel it's my job on this show to educate the masses, at the very least, educate you. And so when I hear that somebody has never heard "Detachable Penis" by King Missile, that this will not stand. See. I gotta fix the problem here.
Well, hey, I appreciate it. You have informed me on many things. You know, the King Detachable Penis, the Philly Flash. You know, what have you?
All right. So we're gonna take a brief break here from the Typo Negative. You know, as we go into the home stretch here, and play a little King Missile, Detachable Penis, because, Detachable Penis goes right along with the Angry Inch. So here we go.
This morning with a bad hangover, and my penis was missing again. This happens all the time. It's detachable. This comes in handy a lot of the time. I can leave it home when I think it's going to get me in trouble, or I can rent it out when I don't need it. But now and then I go to a party, get drunk, and the next morning I can't, for the life of me, remember what I did with it. First I looked around my apartment and I couldn't find it. So I called up the place where the party was. They hadn't seen it either. I asked them to check the medicine cabinet, because for some reason I leave it there sometimes, but not this time. So I told them if it pops up to let me know. I called a few people who were at the party, but they were no help either. I was starting to get desperate. I really don't like being without my penis for too long. It makes me feel like less of a man, and I really hate having to sit down every time I take a leak. After a few hours of searching the house and calling everyone I could think of, I was starting to get very depressed, so I went to the Kiev and ate breakfast. Then as I walked down 2nd Avenue towards St. Mark's Place, where all those people sell used books and other junk on the street, I saw my penis lying on a blanket next to a broken toaster oven. Some guy was selling it. I had to buy it off him. He wanted $22, but I talked him down to 17. I took it home, washed it off, and put it back on. I was happy again, complete. People sometimes tell me I should get it permanently attached, but I don't know. Even though sometimes it's a pain in the ass, I like having a detachable penis.
And it just kind of goes on from there.
I wonder if he wanted a Pepsi and nobody would give it to him. Just one Pepsi. Or maybe he
Really?
wanted a ham sandwich.
Really? That's your reaction to that song?
Oh, I thought the song was actually the entire time. Every time I heard the dun 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 dun, every time I'm like, damn it, wasn't that a boy band song I heard in 2000? I'm pretty sure it was.
It's entirely possible boy bands ripped off King Missile.
Yeah, I think they did. It was O-Town, which, by the way, I told this story today. O-Town once won me a no-prize trivia contest, or not really trivia, but me and a friend of mine were trying to name the most random band that no one else could think of, and I'm like, O-Town. And he's like, oh, fuck, I forgot they existed. You win. There you go. Early 2000s boy band. What's up? But yeah, that King Missile song, that was very, very interesting. That's the word. Yeah.
Let's wind. What do you say we wind this podcast down? What do you think?
Yeah, let's wind it down like a detachable cock.
Okay. So Typo Negative released their final album, Dead Again, and they kind of went out with a whimper. I think this got good reviews. I don't remember, really being too excited about it. I think I'd have to sit down and listen to it again to kind of figure out, some of my thoughts. But we're going to listen to the title track because I had to play something from this album. So this is Dead Again from Typo Negative's final album before Pete Steele kicked the bucket.
pain. No one else but you to blame. I can't believe I died last night. Oh God, I'm dead again. I can't believe I died last night. I'm fucking dead again.
Alrighty, so that's how they went out. But I want to end the show kind of on a happy note, and so we're going to listen to one more Typo Negative cover. And in concerts, they always say, well, you know, please forgive us for destroying this next song. But I always got a kick out of it. It's their take on probably one of the best songs ever written, as they say, from the great American poet Jim Morrison and his band The Doors. This is Typo Negative ruining Light My Fire.
It would be all through. You know that I would be alright. Now if I was to say to you, the girl we couldn't get more time. Oh, come on and light my fire. Come on and light my fire. The bottom's never around fire. Yeah, the time to hesitate is through. No doubt to wallow in my mind, but I know we could hold it through. So I thought I'll become a hero, man. Oh, I'm already light my fire. I'm already light my fire. The honest people on fire.
Every time I hear that song, I picture, like, Dracula just dancing around the mansion.
He did the mash. They did the monster mash. Like that, as soon as he started singing, I was thinking the monster mash.
All right. I think that there's no better way to end a Typo Negative retrospective than comparing Pete Steele singing to the monster mash.
Yeah. I mean, that there, I feel like that wasn't as good as their other covers, because that was really them just playing the same cover, but with their voice. You know, kind of like I was saying, like that was just them doing the song. That wasn't them like trying to change it or make it their own. It was just them doing it. Which, I mean, hey, Peter Steele's the man, so he could do that. But yeah, I actually want to listen to all their stuff now because I'm really interested. Because even though you said Dead Again was kind of a whimper, I mean, shit, yeah, Metal Archives gave it an 88, and that's pretty impressive because those guys are kind of elitist sometimes. So yeah, like I said, I'd really like to get into it. Though I gotta say, I've noticed as each album goes on, it gets getting longer and longer and longer. Like the run times. Like Dead Again is 10 songs and almost 120 minutes. I mean, damn, that's a lot of music.
Yeah.
Like I think the closest I've ever seen to one album taking up the whole like 120 minutes was fucking Load. God.
No, I think the last Metallica album came close.
Did it? How long was Death Magnetic? Let's see. Because yeah, Load seems like it lasted forever. I mean, hell, they took out 4 minutes of the Outlaw Torn just so they could fucking fit, which is the funniest part. Like that just made me laugh so much. Yeah, that was only an hour 14. So actually, Dead Again was longer. Let's see, Load.
I think at some point on this show, just to take a break from doing albums, doing new albums, just to give us both a laugh, we should actually review Load.
Actually, yeah, dude, Load was 1 hour, 18 minutes, and 50 seconds. Like, it was right there. Like, I think us doing Load would be interesting because there are songs that I legitimately enjoy. Like, I like Ain't My Bitch, 2x4 is an okay song. Like, Until It Sleeps is not a bad radio song. King Nothing's okay.
Yeah,
Bleeding Me is a wonderful
that's the thing.
song.
I know it gets a bad rap because, people felt like Metallica had become like a hard rock band and people didn't like that. But I don't have nearly the problem with load that other people do. But that's also a conversation for another. And unless you want me to fall asleep on this podcast again, we got to wrap this up.
I think we should do Load and Reload, because Load has the first half of that album's good and the second half shit, and then Reload is like another first half is okay and the second half is shit.
Do you want to do that in March? Do you want to do our 2 shows in March? We'll do Load and then we'll do Reload.
We'll have to see. I've got some things I'm thinking I might want to do, but we'll find out.
Okay. I mean, like I said, let's see, if there's something that you'd rather review, then I said March was all you, because I picked a whole bunch. I kind of dominated the selection, so I wanted to make sure that I was being fair. So March is up to you. If that's an idea, but we can reserve that for another month where there's just nothing of any interest to us, or we can do it in March or whatever. I'll leave that entirely up to you. In the meantime, I will tell you what we are doing next. Our next show is in 2 weeks. The 22nd is a week from tonight, and that's Chris Evans will be on the show, and we'll be doing the Lethal Weapon series, all 4 movies. 2 hours, Lethal Weapon. It'll be fantastic. Long Road to Ruin. The 29th, we're back in the saddle again, and we'll be reviewing the new Napalm Death.
Yes.
On February 12th, get on your horses and ride to the fax machine. It's the new Blind Guardian. So we'll be reviewing that one.
I told Sean he should totally be on that one. Sean Comer.
Mm-hmm. And then on February 26th, if I've done my math right, is the new Ensferum. So that's on. Say what?
Ensferum?
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
So that's what we got going for the next 3 shows: Napalm Death, Blind Guardian, and Ensferum. Ensferum? Ensferum?
Ensferum. That's what I call him.
Ensferum. And then in April, tomato. In April, we'll be reviewing the new Nightwish, which, if that goes like anything like your last Nightwish podcast, we'll have a zillion listeners. And then we'll be also looking at the new Prong covers album. So that's our plan for April. You'll notice I left out the month of March. That's because Robert hasn't told me what we're doing yet. So maybe we'll do Load and Reload. Maybe we won't. Robert is the Lord and Master for March. And that's it. Everything else, just check out whatever is going on in the Radulich and Broadcasting Network. Type in Radulich. We're on iTunes, Stitcher, Blog Talk Radio. And check me out on the latest edition of the Casual Heroes WrestleCast, which should be up any day now. Robert, what you got going on?
Oh, let's see. Well, really the only podcast I've been doing regularly since last time we talked was the Cooperative Multiplayer Podcast, which is on, I think, the Co-op multi-page on Spreaker.com. It's myself, Sean Garmer, Mark Morrison, and when we get Daniel Anderson, we got him. But he has two jobs that are I think full-time. He's just got married. His wife just had a kid. So that dude's like the boss. Good job, Daniel. You're awesome. So we talk video games. Pretty good time. I throw in my usual quips and little random rabbit trails. And it's a fun time. It's a good podcast. I really, really love it. We're live midnights, so give us a look. Pretty cool. There's of course this podcast from the Cheap Seats. Jason Teasley, Jesse Starcher. Love those guys. This week I was actually on there. It was myself, Jesse, and Sean Comer as we talked about the 4 divisional playoff games. I got to talk about my Panthers some, and actually we were about to get into the report of the national championship game when it cut off while Jesse was reading some negative tweets about the Panthers. I love how the last words that you hear of that podcast are "fuck you, you fucking fuck." Because some guy's like, oh, yep. He's like, yep, there's this fucking Panthers game. Cam Newton's the most overrated number 1 pick since I think it was like Vince Young and the Panthers sucked. And I was just like, fuck you, fucking fuck. And I started like going off, and then it was like, goodbye. Like, what the fuck? So yeah, that was a good time. Teasley's back next week. Well, I think we'll be talking probably the national championship game, and they'll be talking probably the championship games for the NFL. So it'll be an interesting time. I think it'll be like 10 o'clock Tuesday. I think. Yeah, Tuesday. So yeah, take a look out for that. And finally, Since I Write a Podcast, I hope we'll be back in a few weeks. I got to catch up on Kamen Rider Drive and talk to Hunter and see if he's caught up on Kamen Rider Drive, and talk to our friend Nick and see if he's caught up. Just trying to figure everything out. So we can get started, because I'm really wanting to do some. Really wanting to get into some other stuff as well, like maybe do some anime, because I've been watching a lot of anime lately too. So we'll see where this goes. Anime and tokusatsu go hand in hand. They really do. Their fandoms cross. And hell, I mean, even their stuff crosses. There's animated Ultraman and animated Godzilla. But good enough, right? Yeah. So, find us on Facebook, facebook.com/Sentai Rider Podcast. That is SENTAIRIDER podcast. And that's all the plugs for me.
Well, Robert, it's been a small source of having getting back with you. Again, apologize for dozing off there for a moment. Hopefully, as the year goes on and I'm getting more and more used to working these 12-hour shifts, it won't be such a chore for me to stay up this late. But I am up late, and I do want to go to bed, so we're going to say goodbye to Typo Negative. We'll be back in 2 weeks with the newest Napalm Death. Tonight we're going to say goodnight in a special way. We're going to play the Typo Negative offering for Kane's theme from the WWE that didn't quite make it to the WWF Forcible Entry soundtrack. This is Out of the Fire for Robert Cooper and the Metal Hammer of Doom. Good night and goodbye. Be well. Be well.
Be well. Be safe. And behave.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Go to bed.